Hi, my name is Jonathan, and today was the 67th anniversary of our boys, our American boys, dropping the atomic bombs on Hiroshima and Nagasaki. And to every anniversary, or anniversary of bombing Hiroshima and Nagasaki, no one ever questions the morality of bombing Nagasaki and Hiroshima, of killing 200,000 civilians with the bombings, and killing thousands upon thousands of more civilians as a result of the effects of those atomic bombs on Hiroshima and Nagasaki. No one ever questions the morality of killing babies, killing children and women, and innocent people, just like me, innocent, and just like you, innocent. No one ever questions the morality of that. And again today I hear on the American news the American mantra, well, this saved lives. It helped shorten World War II. This saved lives. What they mean is American lives. They don't mean, of course, Japanese lives. Duh. I mean, okay, it saved American lives. That's the American mantra. It saved lives. But at the time, President Truman, who commanded the dropping of the atomic bombs on Hiroshima and Nagasaki, he never said that the reason he dropped the atomic bombs was to save lives and to shorten World War II. President Truman said that they were dropped in order to test them against our barbaric people. President Truman was saying, well, this is the Manhattan Project, well, we developed this science, so we may as well use it. I mean, we put all this financial investment into creating these fabulous nuclear bombs, we may as well use it. And President Truman was saying, well, these are all Japanese, are barbaric people anyway, so let's just drop them on those motherfuckers. And the Pentagon, they wanted the atomic bombs dropped because they wanted to scare the Russians who were about to invade Japan, and we wanted to claim Japan for ourselves. We wanted to own Japan, not the Russians. So that was it wasn't to save lives, it wasn't to end World War II, because the Japanese were preparing to surrender anyway. Americans do not realize that. All historic studies say that before the end of 1945, without the bombings, without the dropping of the atomic bombs, Japan would have surrendered anyway. They were preparing to surrender. Even without an invasion, because the U.S. was thinking, well, we'll do an all-out invasion of Japan without dropping these bombs. Even without that invasion, Japan was going to surrender. So there was no reason. It would not have shortened the war. The war was going to shorten anyway. Japan was going to surrender anyway. So, that's the American mantra. Save lives. And also, during World War II, Harry Truman, the president, commanded those bombings, is quoted as saying, during World War II, Harry Truman said, he wanted as many Germans and Russians and Japs killed, as many as possible during World War II, even civilians. He wanted as many Japs, Russians, and Germans killed as possible. He was a bloodthirsty man. Bloodthirsty. He was vicious. So let's turn this around. Okay, today, the war on terror. The war on terror, in any wars, there's never a good guy and there's never a bad guy. Let's use the war against Afghanistan. The Taliban, they are bad people. They are. The Taliban people themselves are good. The Afghani people themselves that are fighting the wars, they're just defending their families. They're swooped up by the elites within the Taliban who just feed them this ideology. Not much different than the Americans, the Pentagon feeding American people this ideology that we are in a war for freedom. It's all bullshit, really. You're not fighting for freedom. You're fighting for behalf of multinational corporations to get oil in Iraq and to get minerals in Afghanistan. And we will go to war against Iran for the same purpose, for oil. So there's never good guys and bad guys in a war. So the war on terror, the U.S. is just as bad as the Taliban. They really are, because the U.S. outsources genocide for the purpose of benefiting U.S.-based multinational corporations. We kick out indigenous peoples from their lands. We pollute the air, the water, and the land in all these third world countries for the purpose of establishing U.S.-based multinational corporations who are benefiting from the non-regulated economic atmosphere of third world countries. So we outsource torture, we outsource genocide. So the U.S. is actually a worse terrorist. We're the worst terrorist state in the whole. We really are. I mean, duh. I mean, the rest of the world realizes that. Americans don't realize that because you're stupid. Americans are stupid. We don't see that the U.S. is the worst terrorist state in the whole country, the whole world. So, okay. Let's turn this around. Let's say the Taliban, they had a secret weapon that they dropped. Let's say they did this today, like tomorrow. The Taliban had a secret weapon that they dropped on Los Angeles and they dropped on New York City. It would be like a chemical-based weapon, a chemical-based bomb that delivered en masse a very aggressive form of the Ebola virus. Okay, very aggressive. And it killed millions of people in both New York City and Los Angeles. And it's a bomb, it's a type of chemical bomb, chemical warfare that has never been seen. The world has never seen such an awful weapon before, and the U.S. is shocked. Like, the Taliban drops this chemical-based bomb on New York City, Los Angeles. It releases a very aggressive Ebola virus to the inhabitants, Americans, people, because they're people, aren't they? If you're living in New York City and Los Angeles, are you people? Are you people? Because they were in Hiroshima. Those are people just like you. In Nagasaki, those are people. So, and right before the Taliban dropped this Ebola bomb, I'll call it the Ebola bomb, on New York City and Los Angeles, they delivered a computer virus that disabled permanently all the nuclear missiles that would have gone and in retaliation to Afghanistan. So right before these bombings, Taliban delivered a very aggressive computer virus that permanently disabled all the nuclear missiles. Also, the computer virus would affect the Pentagon and all our warships and just all our military. So we would be desperate because that's what people listen to is power. Like the Taliban drops something that's more powerful than we've ever dealt with. So think about it. You're in New York City. Let's say you're from New York City, you're from Los Angeles, and you say you have children. These bombs are dropped in New York City and Los Angeles. You see your children this Ebola, all of a sudden within just a few minutes, your children are vomiting up their liver and their intestines and their heart, and this liquefied. This Ebola virus, it liquefies your heart and all your internal organs. So you see your children, your precious children, vomiting up all their heart and their stomach and everything, and their eyes get bloodshot. Their eyes just start spewing blood, down their face, and your children are crying like, "Mom, Dad, why is this happening to me?" And then maybe it's not your children, maybe it's just your sister, your brother, or maybe your parents. You're seeing your sisters and brothers just be liquefied before you because it's a very aggressive, and they just die full of blood right in front of you. Okay, your sister, your brother, your mom, your dad, your baby, like your baby daughter, your baby son, right there in front of you. And like it saves lives. Okay, well, let's be honest. That saved so many Afghani lives. Your daughter being just bleeding to death, your son bleeding to death on the floor like that, your mom, your dad, your brother, your sister just being liquefied, the blood all over the floor. That's saving Afghani lives, because that means the U.S. will surrender and will make concessions with, obviously, the U.S. would have to make concessions. It's such an awful weapon that we'd surrender, and no more Afghani children would be killed, because the U.S. drone attacks, and we kill so many Afghani. We've killed a lot of Iraqi children. We killed so many Afghani civilians. Actually, there have been more Afghani civilians killed than Afghani combatants in the war. That is the truth. So that would really save lives of Afghanis. I mean, think about it. So many Afghanis would be saved. The lives of so many Afghanis would be saved if an Ebola bomb were dropped in New York City, Los Angeles. It doesn't have to be Afghanistan. Let's say it's preemptive, like the preemptive theory, the preemptive reason that we went to war against Iraq. Iran, because the U.S. is preparing to go to war against Iran, the Iran should make a preemptive strike against the U.S. by the same weapon. I mean, Ebola bomb, something graphic science has never seen before. We would be stunned. You would fall on your knees and say, cry to President Obama, please, let's surrender to Iran. Look at how awful what they're doing to us. So a preemptive strike, because that would save a lot of Iranian lives. I mean, it really would. I mean, Iran dropped an Ebola bomb in New York City, in Los Angeles. That would save so many Iranian lives. I mean, think about how many Iranian lives would be saved, because then the U.S. would not attack Iran. And a lot of Iranian children would be saved. So that's just the whole, this stupid American mantra, it saves lives. So, yeah, the Hiroshima was a bad thing. I mean, unless you're a racist. I mean, actually, most Americans are racist. I mean, to say that dropping an atomic bomb on Hiroshima and Nagasaki saved lives, that is really a racist worldview. So basically, you're a racist. In other words, if you're not agreeing with me, if you disagree with me, you are a racist. That is all I'm going to say. Thank you.